Yo, what's going on, Myles?
It's Friday, Brian.
No, it's not. You lie. You lie. I don't trust you.
No.
Not to be trusted.
I promise. I promise it is. And it's also a very special person's birthday today.
Hold on.
It's not a person. It's not a person.
Oh,
that was a lie.
Then I don't know. No.
It's Sonic the Hedgehog's birthday today.
No, that can't be right.
Yeah, Sonic's birthday. Happy birthday, Sonic.
I mean, you can celebrate Sonic's birthday. I'm going to celebrate Dr. Eggman's birthday. I'm sure they share a birthday. It's got to be, right?
I think they do.
Yeah.
I think they do.
Yep.
Happy,
always root for the bad guys, Myles.
Yeah. That's Brian.
For sure. If anybody knows me, I'm all about rooting for the bad guys. Happy birthday, Sonic the Hedgehog, dude. I'm sure I've told the story a million times, but let's tell it once more. I was at GameStop, and the dude was trying to convince me. It's like 12-year-old Brian, right? Trying to decide to get a Super Nintendo or a Genesis. And the GameStop guy was like, get a Super Nintendo. Trust me, get a Super Nintendo. Trust me. And then I saw Sonic the Hedgehog, and I was like, the marketing had worked on me. And I said, I said, wait, which one has Sonic? And he goes, Genesis. And I was like, I want Genesis. And that was the end of the story. And life was never the same after that.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I always felt like, I don't know, just Nintendo was so powerful. I was a massive Sonic fan, and I just feel when you look at best games of all time, a lot of people never include a Sonic game, not one. And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah,
Team Sonic.
It's a little strange. So back in the day, Sonic games were some of the best games you could get, and then the years have not been kind. The critics have rewritten history and claimed that those games were never as good as we thought they were. But man, I will tell you, that's true for Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. I'm about to lose 100,000 subscribers right now.
I never played that one.
The 3D Sonics are garbage. Those games can go fuck themselves. It's all about 2D Sonic, and if you need more 2D Sonic in your life, go play Sonic Advance 1, 2, and 3. Some of the best 2D animations you can get for Sonic. I love those games. Oh, Matthew Longo says I'm right, which means I really need to reconsider my opinion on this. All right, man, we got to start the show. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go. This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and 2 Wise Friday, right here on PSVR without Parole. We do it live on YouTube, 6 p.m. Eastern, for your viewing pleasure. For those of you who like to watch with your ears, we also put it up on podcast services of your choice, if our friend Jay Meow is doing the right thing, and who the fuck knows if he is or not. Also, if you don't like watching this live because there's just too much talking like I'm doing right now, well, hang out later, because all the timestamps will be inserted into the show, thanks to our good friend, Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry. My name is Brian Pop, this channel right here, PSVR without Parole, and my friend over here to my right is Myles Dyer from youtube.com/Myles. Myles, how you doing today?
Doing good, Brian. Hello, Game Cats. Another week has gone, and I'm feeling really good because after 8 weeks of lots of work projects, they finally come to a close, and I feel like now I can take a breather and submerge myself into many more PSVR2 games, because that's going to be necessary, because they just keep coming, Brian, don't they?
They do. You said you feel good, but I also want to point out that you look good, Myles, because the last time we saw you had just gotten a haircut, and I don't want to tell people when their haircuts didn't go so well, but your haircut was just a little too short for you, and I agree. And over the last week, you've grown into it, and it's looking very nice right now.
I have grown into my haircut, yeah. Or my haircut has grown onto me. I agree. When I got it cut, I was like, yeah, it is a bit too short. But this is better now. This is better.
I'll always tell you the truth, Myles, but like a week later.
That's fine. Yeah. A week later is fine.
After things have self-corrected.
Yes, yeah. Otherwise, we'd be like, 3 weeks later, oh, God, it's still bad. Yeah. I won't tell him it's good. I just won't comment on it. It's good.
So good.
But it's the thing when the hairdresser shows you and goes, is that all good? And I'm like, I'm not going to just burst into tears now.
I did that when I was a kid.
My hairdresser does.
Yeah.
Well, my hairdresser, yeah, you do it. You do that as a kid. I mean, my hairdresser did say when I said how short I wanted, they went, you sure? And I went, yeah, let's do it. And yeah, I think I should have taken that hint from what they said. Yeah, when a hairdresser goes, you sure you want that? Alarm bells.
I retract my former statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I remember sitting in the barber chair, and all of my friends were getting, they were calling them butch haircuts. I don't know if they still called that or not. Where it's like that you practically shave your whole head, you leave like a quarter inch at most of hair, and so it's just all like super short, like army cut. And that was like really the thing when I was 10, 11, something like that. And I remember just being like, yeah, I want it. All my friends have it. I want it. Dude, I had never seen my scalp before, and this in the light in the barbershop was reflecting off my scalp, and I just remember it being like, "Wow, this is horrible." And I like looked, I hated it, and I cried so much. So, yeah, I have a history.
I've had it all shaved off. I did it for a charity thing, and
nice.
Well, funny enough, this is going to sound like such a weird thing to say, although there's a lot of people that have lost their hair that would go, "Yeah, no shit," but I had it all done like in the winter, and when I went outside, I instantly got a sense of like you kind of take for granted how much heat your hair keeps in your head, and also like, but it's also things of when you get your hair cut short, when you have a shower and you have to dry off your hair, and it's just one wipe. You can literally dry your hair with your hand. You just do it once, you go, it's dry. It's amazing. But I believe we're not here to talk about hair, Brian, or are we?
I don't know.
Is there a hairdresser VR game? Have they made that yet?
No, but do you remember? Did you ever play iPet on PlayStation 3? The camera was like the augmented reality game. So the first game were the Move controllers. It's like you could give your iPet a haircut, like with giants. Yeah, it was fucking cool. Also, yeah, in the chat, I think it was Mark Pringlesleaf. They called those haircuts crew cuts in the UK. I think those they were called here too. It was just like where I lived happened to call them butch cuts. I don't know. I haven't heard that since. Myles, last time we spoke, at least on camera, you were about to embark on 6 PSVR2 live streams on your channel. Did you accomplish those? And are there 6 more scheduled for this weekend?
Yes and yes, Brian. I want to say huge thanks to all the game cats that tuned in. I'm trying to remember all the games I played last weekend. It was really interesting seeing like which live streams did best. Survive actually was like I think one of the most watched, which I mean I knew it was going to do quite well, but I think there's you get a real sense of like what games are people most curious about, and Survive is one of those that you might see like reviews about games, but there's some games where you're like, I want to see what it's like to like live in these games. Reviews are really good ways of getting a sense of it within 7 to 10 minutes. But watching a let's play, you just see the nuances, and so yeah, that was good. And it was awesome playing Beat Saber again post the updates they've done. And there was a couple of tracks. There was one where I literally cheered after I completed it because it was Overkill. On expert, not expert plus, but on the fastest speed. I always messed it up towards the end on PSVR, but on this first attempt on PSVR2, I did it. And, a big part of it is because the tracking's better. You're not constantly trying to overcompensate the move controller stuff. But yeah, in terms of this weekend, tomorrow, it's all going to be at the same times again. So tomorrow I'll be playing 3 new games. I'm going to be playing. I'm trying to remember the name of the first one. It's called. What's it called? Is it Medianoid? Oh man, what is it called?
Masternoid.
Masternoid. Yeah. Thank you, Masternoid, which is a really cool arcadey game.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for that.
Had a lot of fun.
Then I'm going to be playing. Did you played it?
Yeah, I played it before Wednesday's show, and only like a half an hour, but I think I saw like a good percentage of the game, maybe like a third or so. So I don't think it's terribly long, but it's fun, dude. It's fun. Like it's simple. I wish it was $7.99 instead of $14.99, but it's
right.
But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Masternoid. I remember when you first commented about it when it was sort of advertised, which is it's a game that won't appeal for many people, but you knew it was a game that you'd probably have a lot of fun with. And looking at it, I think exactly the same. So, Masternoid. On both Saturday and Sunday, my live streams kick off at 5 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. Eastern, and then I'm going to be 2 hours later jumping onto C Smash VRS. I'll be playing some single player. I might actually be going on party chat with some of the devs to talk about the game. which would be cool. But obviously they're very busy with launch. So I've sort of said, if you're at a weekend and post-launch, you want to sort of do something other than your own game, I totally respect that.
Yeah.
But they seem up for it. But then I'll also be opening up the sort of multiplayer to sort of just do quick play. And if anyone wants to have a knockabout with me, we can do that. And then after that, it will be Hubris. Because, and actually, if we were going to be talking about it on the show today, I would have jumped into it, but because I don't need to, I've actually still stayed away from it. So I am going to be going in blind. And, I've seen your review, but I still feel like I know very little about it. Mm-hmm. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. That speaks to the quality of my review. Like, I watched the whole thing and I still don't know fucking jack shit about it. No, it's
it was cool.
It's
that thing, you know where you look at a review and you're kind of like, I'm trying to just listen to what he's saying, and like I'm looking at what's been shown on screen, but I'm trying not to think about it too much. Yeah. Like I don't want to start analyzing it and thinking, oh, that must be the beginning. I mean, I understand the swimming bit is right near the start. I think that's pretty well established in the trailers and that. Could be wrong, but that's what I assume.
Yeah, the swimming throughout. Sirens on my end, but yeah, you do start swimming pretty fast. Like, actually, I guess from soon after you take control, the cargo doors open up and like you're like, oh, I'm underwater. Look at that, nice. So,
yeah, that's cool. And then on Sunday, just to quickly go through them, I'm going to be playing games that aren't new. I'll be playing Runner, and then I'm going to be playing Thumper. And then I'm going to be playing PokerStars VR. So if anyone wants to join me in the casino at the end of the night, that should be good fun.
It's on Sunday?
And that'll be on Sunday, yeah. Okay. So that'll be good. Also, Super Plastic Bubble Plastic Game Cat. Tell him you enjoyed Riven Planet because you did, Myles. I mean, I've played Riven Planet before. I played that last weekend. Yep. It's, and I think you enjoyed it, didn't you? It's like it's a silly bit of fun.
Again, if it was $5, I'd be like, this is fucking fun. And does it have a platinum? I'm like, because if it does, I'd probably go for it. Yeah.
And it doesn't. Oh man, that's annoying. But what's funny with the timestamps is I've done the timestamps for that live stream for each game you play, and like each of them are nice small chunks. And then there's one that's like half the stream, which was. Did you play the Coconut Island one, Brian?
Oh man, I don't remember. I feel like I played like half the game in one sitting. I don't remember.
Well, the Coconut Island, they're lobbing coconuts from the tree. They bounce towards you, and with two massive paddles, you have to hit the coconuts into this like bowl.
Oh, maybe not.
And I was literally spitting feathers by the end of it and like swearing at all the people on the island. And as soon as I completed it, I've never been happier. And then the one afterwards was where you got to heat pizzas on the conveyor belt. And I was like, this is the perfect one to end the stream on after I was so stressed out. And I completed that first try because, we have an affinity with pizza here on PSVR without Parole. So, as I said, going to be let's playing every game. And Riven Planet's one of those which is like, yeah, it's cute. But as you say, with that price point, I probably wouldn't buy it. No. But the action ones were the best ones, where you're against the octopus with the lightsaber. And then there's one where it throws ninja stars at you and you've got to deflect them. Like moments like that, I'm like, that in itself could be kind of a fun VR game if they expanded on those mechanics, Yeah,
I'm glad that you're saving Hubris for a live stream. If anybody doesn't know, like obviously my co-host every week we kind of have to figure out like what games you got to play. Like there's a lot of preparation to do for this show sometimes in terms of like just playing games and being well versed enough in them to speak intelligently about it. And if you're not scheduled to talk about Hubris, then like. No point in playing it. So I'm going to be curious. I probably won't be there live, but I will be tuning in after to see what your thoughts on Hubris. Somebody in the chat said, Unruly Cat said, I wonder if Hubris is like Eden Tomorrow. If anyone played that, it's not. Eden Tomorrow was fucking garbage. Eden Tomorrow was like a very good looking game that just felt so anti-VR.
Empty.
It was right. It was empty. There was a lot of boring parts, and there was a lot of like, oh, just do exactly what they want you to do right now, or it's not going to work right. They did it, and yeah, I did not like Eden Tomorrow. And actually, I did compare Hubris to Eden Tomorrow only in the sense that Eden Tomorrow, I remember like Polish Paul loving it, being like one of the best VR games ever, and I was like, this is such trash. And I was like, that's just what happens in with gaming. Like that's what happens when you listen to everybody's reviews and opinions. Some people are going to love shit and some people are going to hate shit. And so that's the only reason I would ever compare Hubris to Eden Tomorrow, because both were very divisive. But yeah, Hubris is way better than Eden Tomorrow.
Yeah. The interesting about doing Let's Plays and going in blind is there are some where like you just want to go on and just do the tutorial, just even if you're going to do it again during the live stream. There's some bits where you're like, I just want to have a bit of an edge on it. But with Hubris, I think I am going to fire up for the first time, like on the Let's Play. Yeah. When actually speaking with the devs, I was telling you about this before the show, Brian. When I was speaking with the dev from Runner, they said they were really excited that I was doing the live stream for them on Sunday, but a bit nervous. And they said, have you played it before? They said it can be quite difficult. And I said, I have played a little bit after you recommended it again and again, Brian, and I loved it. And it is a bit tricky, but they also reminded me there is an easy mode that I can fall back on. And, you know, I understand that, like, as a dev, you don't make games primarily to be live streamed. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, that might sound like an obvious thing to say. I mean, there are some games that are made for, you know, showing other people and
for sure,
and that,
like any job simulator, vacation simulator, like drunken bar fight. These are all games that are meant to be streamed, and I can't find the fun in them as much when I play them on by myself.
Right.
But yeah, goofing off for an audience, different story.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Runner, like when you have difficult games, you know, you want people to face up to the challenge. And if you're having to do stuff again and again to get the hang of it, that might not be interesting for a live stream. So right. Yeah, it is interesting how different games are made for, obviously one medium being PSVR2, but like different, you know, some of them are social games to play with other people in co-op. Sometimes they're solitary experiences, you know. Before Your Eyes is a great example.
Agreed. I'm glad we brought up Hubris, man, because that actually segues somewhat well into our first story, and that is, I've been talking about this for a little while, but what I've been wanting to do was get a bunch of VR lenses. People keep asking about VR lenses. People keep telling me their experience about VR lenses, and the results are all over the place, right? So basically, what they are little lenses that you clip onto the lenses on your PlayStation VR2, and if you need a prescription, then you don't have to wear glasses anymore. Now, I have pretty decent vision, like, but when I'm in VR, if I squint, everything looks a little bit better. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I do need to look into this. And so over the weekend, I talked
look into this. I see what you did there, Brian. Sorry.
Right before your eyes, I looked into it. Let's stop now. So I talked to 3 manufacturers of VR lenses. It was Hans VR, I think it was VR Rock, and Real Optics. And those all have varying degrees of reviews, like positive and negative opinions, whatever. The Hans VR one showed up today. They were the first ones to show up, super fast from China. It's like ridiculous, like lightning speed. And I only had a little time to check them out before the show, like 15, 20 minutes, just kind of like popping into different games. First of all, right, they show up and they're like really well protected. Like they come in a nice little box. This is the box it comes in, but then like even then, within that box, they give you a little Hans VR microfiber cloth. Just FYI, guys, they sent this to me for free. I didn't pay for it, so you can call this whatever you want. I'll be reviewing all of these things, but it's certainly not a paid promotion. I've rejected all affiliate ships. All 3 of them offered me
#gifted.
#gifted. All 3 of them offered me an affiliate link, and I was like, "No, thank you. That's not what we do here." But so then they do come in like this little carrying case, like this tiny little. Is that going to go into focus or is it not? There it is.
There it is.
Nice. Look at my dirty fingernails, right? And and so I popped them on just to see, because I was like, this is going to be nothing. Or I'm going to pop these things on and I won't have to squint, dude. When I tell you, I jumped into Hubris, and it felt like my PlayStation VR2 turned into a PlayStation VR 2.5. I am not kidding you. Like, everything looks clearer. I swear, and maybe this is all up in my head, but I swear even the reprojection wasn't as bad. The mirror wasn't as bad. Like, I mean, like, it really, dude, if you have even the slightest prescription, I'm not telling you to get the Hans ones or anything else, because I haven't compared all of these to each other, and I will. I'll get that review out eventually, like as soon as they all show up and I get to try them out. But I am saying that you should consider this if you have even the slightest prescription, because holy shit, dude, like I was blown away. everything's fucking crystal clear now. Like, I'm just so, as if I needed to be happier with my PSVR2, Miles. I was already loving it, and now I'm in love with it. I mean, just an amazing, amazing jump. So if you have even the smallest prescription, I recommend looking into it, and I'll have more information for you soon.
That's so awesome. I mean, when there was nothing like this offered for PSVR, right? Because I don't know. I've just been very conscious about it with PSVR2. This seems to be like a recent thing that's taking off.
Mm-hmm.
Or am I mistaken?
Just recent. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like this is one of those things that only got brought to my attention recently, because when the PSVR 1 was out, you know, man, like the 7 years since I've started covering VR stuff are the exact 7 years where, like, you know, you're getting older, and if you're going to start like losing your hair, losing your eyesight, losing, you know, whatever, these are the years, I feel like. And so like it just really wasn't it just really wasn't on my mind before. And so like other people were sort of doing it and whatever, and I'm sure they were out there for PSVR 1 and Quest and whatever, and I just didn't care. I was like, oh, this has nothing to do with me. But PSVR 2 can be so sharp and clear that, like, I feel like that there's a massive difference here. And Endeavor One in the chat says, Brian, you need to see an optometrist. I did. That's how I got my prescription. That's how I know what my eyes needed. But yeah, I mean, but everyday life, man, I really don't need glasses. In fact, my optometrist said, Brian, you don't need glasses for everyday life. Like, we can give you a prescription if you want it, but you don't need it. And so that's why I was saying my prescription is so light. That's why I'm recommending that if you even have a small prescription, a small deficit in your vision, you should consider these, because they make a world of difference. So, yep. So that's awesome. That's that. Check it out. Very happy. And yeah, I guess on a similar note, I did check out the Until You Fall PSVR2 version with the Hans VR lenses on.
Right.
Super crystal clear.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. That game's running like crazy high resolution. I'll say that. It still looks like the PSVR 1 version in every other regard, like the ground textures and everything. So it's very much still the Quest version of the game, or the PSVR 1 version of the game, but everything is like super, super crisp. Again, one of the first games I played with the Hans VR lenses, so take that however you want. Yeah. But damn, yeah, I can't believe they're charging for this though, Miles. It's not it's not the PC VR version. It's like, what are they doing here?
It shocked me when it dropped, and I went on the store and it came up with PS5 version $19.99 in the UK. I was like, wait, am I not logged in? Because just, I don't know, like, you know, some developers might say that's us feeling extra entitled, that we just expect to get a free upgrade. And you know what? To some degree, that's a fair argument, you know? But then the question becomes, so what do you get for buying it again as a sort of full price game? Mm-hmm. And I'm curious to know, Brian, you say the textures are the same, which, to be honest, I'd be fine with if it's more crystal clear. But then let's think about all the other PSVR2 features like haptics and that. Does the sword play feel significantly improved, or does it feel like they've just moved it across?
It would be unfair for me to really comment on it right now. It didn't feel like anything special. I only played the first few minutes just to kind of like get a feel. Obviously, the tracking was great. I haven't experienced bad tracking in a single PSVR2 game yet. And like I said, everything was crystal clear. But you looked at the ground and it's all just like blurred out, right? Like this very N64 styled floor of, you know, right. which in a beautiful game like Until You Fall, it is unnecessary. Like there's, you look at the PC VR version, and this just doesn't really compare. It's nice to get it in high resolution. It's nice to get it with the analog sticks. It's nice to get it with the Sense controllers. But they absolutely. Oh, Nick Milo in the chat is clarifying. He said from what he's heard, there's no adaptive trigger support or headset rumble. So, you know. Well, I'll get more into it soon. If I have time, I'll review the PSVR2 version. But if what we've said so far, Miles, is like when Transformers VR got the update, and it was a free update, and it was like that you didn't do anything, right? This is the same game we put on PSVR1, same resolution, same everything. It was a free update, so it's kind of hard to complain. Survive looks pretty much the same as it did on PSVR1, still very clunky, still needs a whole lot of updates, but they didn't charge. So you kind of give them a pass and you say, well, at least we get these games. At least we can keep playing these games on PSVR2 the way they were. As soon as you charge full price for a game, we expect the world, right? So it's a little
and whether devs like it or not, the reality is that precedent is set by what everyone else has done so far.
Exactly.
Now, if Until You Fall came out at launch and did this, I think there would be a lot more leeway given to them, which is like, yeah, this is a new generation of hardware. Developers are moving across and bringing their games, and they're doing it in their own ways.
Right.
But we're, just over 100 days, 10 days into since the launch of PSVR2, the precedents have been set. And if you're charging $19.99, again, when I saw that price, I was like, okay, wow, okay, so what comes with this?
$25, 20 quid, right? So
yeah. And so for me, it's like I want to play it if they give me a key. And again, I always feel like this feels like I'm entitled. But actually, just as a disclaimer, you were talking about Transformers. Transformers I played last weekend on my Let's Play, and 5 minutes before I went live, I realized it was going to charge me for the upgrade, and I realized that when I had the key, it was before I was a regular sort of on the show, I think, and so I got a US copy.
Okay.
And so I was like, no, I want to have a UK key code. I wasn't able to get one in time, obviously, because it was 2 minutes before the show, and so I paid $20 for Transformers, and it added a bit more weight to my impressions of that game. And as you said, it was a straight port. And actually, when you look at the Let's Play on, looking back on it, the frame rate is absolutely abysmal. And I thought, oh, maybe it's my setup. I looked at other streamers; it's the same, which is a shame. And I know we're not here to talk about Transformers, but it's like even for a free upgrade, you expect certain things to be improved. But then, arguably, you can't complain. It was free. You haven't lost out or anything. If they're charging $19.99, you expect them to say, these are the things we're taking advantage of with PSVR2. And there was no blog post for this, was there, Brian?
No.
It was just, was there a trailer? There wasn't, was there? It just appeared.
No, it was mistakenly listed on PlayStation.com with the June 6th release date.
Yes.
And then only because of that did Schell Games have to say, that's incorrect, but it is coming sometime this month. And then to no fanfare at all, it just suddenly dropped. Now, I think this actually speaks to a larger problem, Myles, and that's a larger problem with Schell Games, right? Because Schell Games has been not transparent at all about what their PSVR2 plans are. Among Us was supposed to be a PSVR1 game, never happened. PSVR2 launch title, never happened. Now it's like, well, where the fuck is Among Us? That game looks like it should take 6 days to port, and we still don't have that. No word on what's happening with I Expect You to Die 1 or 2 coming to PSVR2. Obviously, It seems like they're going to try to charge us again. And then they announced I Expect You to Die 3 for Quest, and then never announced Expect You to Die 3 right on Quest, and then never announced it for the PSVR2. And so it's like it's a larger problem with Schell Games that's happening right now that like Until You Fall is just a symptom of. It's like it feels like they're in bed with Meta, and a lot of companies are. We are fully aware that certain companies are getting funded by Meta, certain games are getting funded by Meta, and some studios are even taking money to not release their PSVR2 versions on time. And that's right. And so that's a larger problem because Sony doesn't seem like they care enough to fight back with Sony money, right? And so we just kind of have to sit here and take it. And I don't know how much. I feel like Schell is losing respect from the PSVR2 audience by the day if they continue this trend.
And you know me, Brian, I'm always seen as like overly optimistic when it comes to these kind of conversations. But like even I'm saying like Schell, I find incredibly questionable with the way it's been, because we're not saying shame on any company that gets money from Quest and starts, working for Meta entirely. Like that's business and it's cool, but just be transparent about it. of like what the direction of travel is. There seems to be a lot of backtracking, and this is like community management, communications 101. I always think about who are the sort of S tier community managers. Jimmy Bowers from End Dreams, just absolutely fantastic, and always very transparent about what's going on. This feels like not even just the complete opposite. It's just like, it's not even like well, firstly, there's an absence of communication. And secondly, it's just the getting thrown up there, because I guess the question I then have, Brian, and also for the Game Cats who want to join in on the chat anyway on this, is had the Until You Fall leak not happened, would the release have been done any differently? As in, would they have done a social post? The feeling I get is no, they would have literally just shadow dropped it and just snuck it in there, thinking, let's not make a big deal out of it. We're going to charge full price. And, people that have got PSVR2 for the first time might think of it as a new game and then therefore splash out the money, because they probably already made the calculation. People that bought it for PSVR are not going to pay full price again. This is for people that have never owned it. And now if anyone from Schell Game ends up watching this show and goes, that's completely unfair, this is not what we're doing, what we're saying to you is, we're just telling you what the signals are and how we're interpreting this. And I like to think that we're pretty fair when it comes to this sort of stuff. Yep. And we are lovers of these games. Like Among Us VR is something I've been super excited for. For me, it was like, it'd be the perfect launch title for PSVR2. And Dashing Act in the chat just says, if they don't care, why should we? And if they say, well, we do care, we're asking you to prove it.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is definitely something that we're concerned about. Obviously Schell Games was for quite a while like a studio that we look to for quality games. I don't think we've ever played a Schell game that was not of the highest quality. And so I think it's more about concern than anything else, because the last thing we want is for the studio to just, I mean, I say tank, but that's the wrong word, right? Because with meta money, first of all, you're not going to tank. They make sure that
sour.
Yeah, I think that's the better word for it. Sour is a better word for it, because we loved them in the same way we loved Survios, right? And because of the different moves these studios have made, it's kind of easy to just be like, well, I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in what they're doing next. And I hate to say this, because now it sounds like I'm taking the new information we have and using it against them retroactively. But when they announced I Expect You to Die 3, I was like, guys, really, we need something bigger from you. Like, I Expect You to Die was a launch title or an early title for PSVR1, and it was great. I Expect You to Die 2, later title for PSVR1, and it was great. But these games are relatively simple. And I feel like the studio needs to step up and really show us what they've got. They need to show us that they're capable of so much more. Great escape room style games, but they need to show us that they're capable of more. And that's where we kind of lost faith in Survios, and I've lost faith personally in like fast travel games, right? Because it's just like, guys, it's been 7 years. Step the fuck up. Like, do something better than the first game you released on the console. I Expect You to Die 3 is now being announced 7 years after the first one came out. It's like, but that's your new big thing, right? And then fast travel games with Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife and the new vampire game. I mean, I hope it turns out to be better than Apex Construct, because to me that's still their best game, and that was 7 years ago. Like, it's just time. Studios need to fucking step up, and I think too many of them are playing it safe because they need to release a game that works well on the Quest 2. And that's a shame.
Not really counterpoints, just to add to that about those two studios. Servius, I totally agree, have made some of my most enjoyable early VR memories, and actually still put out games. I like the Creed for PSVR 2. They're working on this Aliens title that we know nothing about. For me, it's like to have Servius work with a massive IP. Mm-hmm. This is a real opportunity to prove themselves, especially off the back of, because they worked on Walking Dead, right?
The Walking Dead onslaught, right?
Which, look, and I'm not here to sort of saying this thinking Servius, just in case you didn't know this, like they know, right? Mm-hmm. But it's the idea of like having a good IP isn't a guarantee of success.
Right.
And I think Aliens is like the most incredible opportunity, especially when you think of how many people talk about Alien Isolation and sort of the love for having an official VR port. Now, Aliens VR is going to be more action orientated, so it's not going to be as much survival horror. I don't know, I'm only assuming. But on Fast Travel Games, there's a game that I got to play an early build of that is going to be Unreal 5 for PSVR2. That is nothing's been mentioned of, and I can't say. I'm literally just saying the only things I can say. I am so hyped for that to come out, and having only played an early build. That doesn't guarantee it's going to be good at its final product, but it was something that was really imaginative, and I was like, yeah, I wanted to play so much more of it. So I'm hopeful. I don't sort of attach that onto a guarantee sense of success. You know, we only find out what they are once they come out.
Right.
And I think they know what's at stake, especially with this new generation. You know, the competition's high. The amount of games coming out left, right, and center, and just look at what like Capcom's doing. You know.
Yep. It's true. It's true. Samson 143 VR with the $5. Man, I wish I had more energy. Because I want to say, I want to talk to Samson. Fly me to the moon like that bitch I was crammed in. Yeah, doesn't come out right when I don't have the energy. He says, Happy Friday with a Y for Myles. Thank you very much, Samson.
Thank you very much.
Andrew Bailey with the $5 says, scooping coins off desk hand over hand equals hubris speed swimming without the workout. Scooping coins off desk hand over hand. Interesting. I don't know what that means, but he says, you're welcome. By the way, Myles and I are silly sausages and stuff.
That's a very British saying. I mean, I've never said it, but
okay.
Oh, you're such a silly sausage. I mean, I've never said that until then. But,
yeah, it sounds like the most British thing someone could say, in fairness.
Yeah.
All right, man. We got to move on to the next news story. Actually, the cover story of today's Gamescast, which is Pneumata, which was previewed very, very recently, revealed very recently, and knowing that it was being published by Perp. Oh. What's up?
Another horror game, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. So this was revealed at the Upload VR showcase, I believe, right? And it had the Perp logo assigned to it, and it said coming to VR, whatever. But it didn't say PSVR2 specifically. It didn't say Quest. It didn't have a VR headset attached to it. So we were just left hanging, and I'd been speculating, saying that it's very, very likely that this is coming to PSVR2. And so today I got the news from Perp this morning that Pneumata is coming to PlayStation VR2 digitally and physically by the end of this year. How excited are you, Myles?
Look, I mean, we joke about this every time when it comes to horror game.
Yep.
The honest truth is, when I play these horror games, I feel very conflicted because I am in absolute awe of the environments, how they make me feel, the mechanics, everything, juxtaposed against the fact that I'm absolutely terrified. So I love playing it up. When I say playing it up, I mean hyping up in the lead up to the stream. When I'm on the streams, it is legit. You are seeing me be myself. Yeah. You know, I am absolutely terrified. And Cosmo Dread's a great example. Absolutely terrified. The spider thing, can't get over that. But I was really appreciative of the mechanics, and I would love to complete the game because it's amazing. This game I'm really excited for when I look at it in terms of mechanics and what there is to offer, whilst also acknowledging the fact that when it comes to turning the console on and knowing that's the game I'm about to play, I'm really going to hate it. My body's going to hate it. Yep. And I think you and I have spoken about this off air before, about the idea that, you know, you can get yourself into a mindset. I could probably get myself into a mindset when I play a horror game of like, this ain't real, whatever, and just sort of go through it. Yeah. But that's not fun. That's not fun. Like, I don't actually ever want to sort of kill the feeling of fear. Like, that's what they want you to feel. And
right.
So,
right. Well, I
feel very conflicted.
It's like sitting there during a comedy and just having your arms folded and go, not funny. Right? It's like, well, then what the fuck are you watching it for? Right? Like, what are you doing here? Like, horror is supposed to scare you, and if you can allow that to happen, then, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the best feelings ever because it's a super intense feeling. And if a video game can make you scared in the safety of your own home, then that's called fucking success, right? And as great as Cosmo Dread was, right? I mean, I gave Cosmo Dread an 8.9, and I stand by that more than I stand by my 9.0 for Hubris. Like, Cosmo Dread is just fun as fuck, and it actually delivers on the scares, even though the enemy designs are pretty silly, right? Like, and you know, certain people we know finished it very, very quickly. It took me 7 hours to do, but you know, I just think that game's amazing. But then you look at something like this. That's really going for realism, and you know, seeing just what the PSVR2 has been capable of recently. Like, I'm very, very excited to see this in the headset, and I think that this is going to. I don't want to hope too much here, right? Because I just don't want to. I don't want to set my expectations too high, because what this looks like Village quality of environments, and it very
the lighting
well
on the brickwork and stuff like that. It just all looks really detailed,
and it very well might be. However, if PSVR1 taught me anything about anything, it's that games can look really good, but then they're going to be really short because of it, right? Where are you putting your money? Like Paranormal Activity: The Lost Soul. That was a beautiful game. I kept calling that about as photorealistic as PSVR1 games were going to get, and you could blast through it in just a couple of hours. And so this could be the very, very same situation. However, Myles, have you read the Steam store description on this? Because it gives me hope that there's a lot going on here. Have you seen it?
I have not, because I prefer it when it's read with your lovely voice, Brian.
Jesus. Okay. I got to make sure that this music isn't playing
while
anywhere.
you're setting up. Just to add to that, is the other thing I like about horror is there are different types of feeling with horror. So, like Cosmo Dread, just because it's the most recent example, the atmosphere is amazing. The dark, the way you have to go through it is great. All the enemies were really creepy. The way they come out the dark, scary stuff like that. But I was totally cool with. The spiders was it tapped into something with me. It's that feeling of when you discover a spider on a wall in a room that you've just walked into and it's by the door, and now I'm trapped. That's the feeling it gave me. And more specifically, it was when I was opening up 3 lockers and like a punchline in a joke where it's the third one. The third one was the big spider screaming and then jumping out at me. And you told me, oh, yeah, I didn't have that for 4 hours. Yeah. I had that after 20 minutes, Brian. Now, you said after 4 hours, and when that happened, you never opened a locker up the same way again.
Yep.
Well, after 20 minutes, dude, I didn't open up, and I couldn't bring myself to open up another container for the rest of the game. Like, it just ruined my confidence
I love that.
In that. And so I both hate that I felt that way because it meant I didn't get to enjoy the game. Yep. But I also love it because that game achieved something that was very visceral and real, and to the point that actually when I went about my day for the next day, I was thinking about that idea of seeing a spider suddenly. And that's good horror. That's good horror.
I actually love that I didn't experience that for the first 4 hours, because here I am, especially the first couple hours, I'm just opening every single closet, every single cabinet that I find, and every single locker, and I keep thinking to myself, I was like, it's crazy that they don't have something jumping out at me. It's crazy they don't have some enemy in here. It's crazy that they don't have some jump scare. And so, and after 4 hours, I'd gotten real comfortable thinking, well, that's just not going to happen. And then it did. And it was like fucking the scariest thing ever. So, yeah. And so I do like how it happened in my playthrough personally for me. But we got to get back to this because we are going to run out of time here, and I don't want to run out of time. Pneumata, the synopsis over here on the Steam store says the tenants are going missing. Screams echo and blood seeps through the walls of Clover Hill. Now, they don't tell you what Clover Hill is. I'm assuming it's like an insane asylum, mental hospital, whatever the deal is. It'd be funny if it was like a retirement home, right? And so it's just like you just walk in, there's a bunch of old people in wheelchairs and stuff hanging out. That could be just as creepy, maybe. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
As a detective, unravel the truth that lies within and recover your fragmented memories, or succumb to the horrors that lurk in the shadows within the sinister blend of survival and psychological horror. Now, under the features, it gives us a little bit more of an idea of what the gameplay is like. Psychological horror and cosmic horror that makes you question what's real and what's not. The line between reality and alternate worlds begins to blur. This sounds very Layers of Fear-like. True survival horror. Scavenge for weapons and supplies in limited quantities and run and hide to survive by any means necessary. Examine crime scenes and piece together clues and evidence in order to solve a series of gruesome murders. This seems like it's out of a different game. That description seems like it's out of a different game.
Agreed.
Explore a realistic and gritty apartment building and discover hidden areas and pathways on your search for the truth. Diverse AI, fight or hide against entities that are unpredictable and use your environment to create distractions. And then gruesome horror around every corner and an unending feeling of tension and helplessness as you explore deeper into the complex. I am super excited, Myles. Super excited. As you know, Afterlife VR came out a couple months ago. Was not great. I still loved it. Like horror, even bad horror, I love. So if this is...
That's like with movies though, isn't it, dude? Bad horror movies, it's like, no, it was silly or it was a bit naff, but it was still a good time.
Yeah. That's the way I am. Like I get scared at everything. And even if the gameplay mechanics aren't great, like, and this is, I gotta like reel it all back for my review. I gotta be like, well, that's me, but then 5.5 because I gotta tell you guys if it's worth buying or not. So that's kind of where I'm at with Pneumata. Hoping it's really good, but wow, lots of sirens on my end. But even if it's bad, I'll probably still enjoy it to some degree or another. So.
Afterlife VR and Organ Quarter.
Yeah. Organ Quarter was great.
Which one's scarier?
Oh, Afterlife. I think Afterlife was scarier.
Interesting.
Well, Organ Quarter just doesn't have the visual fidelity as that Afterlife does, and even Afterlife doesn't look that great. But yeah, Organ Quarter.
I mean, I'm gonna be playing both, but I was just curious. Which ones to be more wary of. But I think Afterlife VR, I saw Ian Higton playing it a bit as well, and it just looked like a night out in my local town, to be honest. Just loads of people crawling on the floor. Yeah.
I did love Organ Quarter, though. They fixed all the problems with that game, so I'm going to have to go back and fix that review. Definitely, if you liked OG Silent Hill 1 on PlayStation 1, that's your game. More sirens. What's going on? Okay. And that brings us, Myles. Actually, wait, hold on. There was a tip. I don't want to miss the tip. Here it is.
Oh, let's not miss a tip.
Out of Hembre D, Cat Allergic Game Cat with the $2 tip says, Pneumata. Hopefully as good as it looks. I hope so too. All right, man. Well, it's time to talk about Sea Smash. This is the game that came out today.
Really excited to talk about this, Brian.
Good, because I'm excited to talk about it. Okay. Give me a rundown, basic rundown. I posted my review before the show went live, and so if anybody wants my full impressions, whatever, obviously go check out the official review. But since Myles is here, let's get his impressions first. What kind of game is this, Myles? And I think this might actually be a discussion within itself.
Sure. I mean, top line is it is a futuristic social sports game. It will be in the realm of Spark. I think aesthetically it's pretty close to that. But it's like squash. I always wonder if you play squash in the US. I mean, it's like squash meets Pong.
Not really.
Yeah, it meets Pong. I have to say I was very concerned about the game when the demo came out because when I was playing the demo, aesthetically I loved it, but I kept missing the ball when I thought I hit it. It didn't feel right. Having now played the full version and also with the update, it feels amazing. It feels really, really good. And to sort of give my summation of like what I feel about the game overall, a lot of similar notes to your review, although I probably personally would give it a higher score, but only by a little bit. I'd probably give it a 7, maybe 7.5 out of 10. It looks good. It sounds good. There's this kind of meditative feel to a lot of it. Like there is sometimes a bit of an intensity, but it's it's a feel good atmosphere. Like the characters that are sort of in the game around you are pretty cool. But for me, it's like you've got these massive bricks that are just awesome that build this game, but like the cement, the mortar that like pieces it all together, that's lacking. There's a lot of small things, some of which are going to be so petty and small that you think that's not even a bit of feedback. That's just something that you want, Myles. But I think as we have this discussion, it will just become clear that there's a lot of... It's as if they've basically done the hard work. Yes. They've built a really good mechanics and game. But when it comes to like the bells and whistles, and even actually some of the more simple stuff that is just sort of a given in a game. I mean, I will give just one example and then I'll throw it back to you, Brian. When you're in the lobby, you have like 2 windows either side of you. And in one of them, it's got like C Smash written on the wall. And to the right of you, there's a room that every time you're in the lobby, there's something else happening in there with the characters. Sometimes they're jumping on a trampoline. Sometimes they're DJing. They're really funny, amazing environments. And when I jumped into co-op with you, Brian, I looked out and I was like, oh wow, cool, can you see that DJ? And you're like, nope, there's people on trampolines. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. So instantly I knew that it just randomizes what you see when you look out the right side. Now many of you will go, well, what's the matter with that? For me, when it comes to VR, it's about social shared experience. When you're in a game in virtual reality and you're with someone else, you should be experiencing the same thing so you're able to communicate and respond to the world together. And so if I look to the right and I say to Brian, oh, hey, yeah, you see that DJ right there? And you're like, oh, yeah, I see that. You can then have a conversation about it. And that might seem like such a petty, small thing. Right. But I'm like, that's just a small thing that would have made the lobby better. And there's a lot of things that we're going to go into about the game that they could sort out, whether it's quick match and things like that hopefully they will fix. And it just meant that I felt it went from being a potentially excellent game to a promising game that has all the foundations there to be a fantastic game. But I just wonder what happened to those small details. And I kind of feel like I think they were pushed for time. It was already delayed once.
Yeah.
Co-op was expected, not just because it was in the description. It was like the main tagline of the game, and then it isn't there. They've announced today that it is coming. But so I feel like this could end up being an absolutely fantastic game. I'm having a really good time with it at the moment, though. So sorry, that was a long sort of journey, but
no,
I feel very mixed about it.
No, I feel like I'm right there with you. And especially, I think you nailed it when you said the developers put all the hard work in. The foundation is here for such a good game. I feel like, I know people have said different things about the physics and the handling and the way the ball bounces and missing it with your paddle or whatever. I didn't encounter any of that. Like I felt like the physics were very C Smash specific physics, right? You're not playing in zero gravity, but you're not playing. It's like low gravity, right? And if you try to hit it like straight against the wall, then the wall's like nope, and it kind of like almost
it'll curve in.
Yeah, it curves in, and then the ball kind of homes in on you, right? And so if you manage to get it behind some blocks and you want it to move a little bit more to one side or the other, you should move to that one side or another. So it all kind of plays into this strategy. And I don't have a problem with the physics. I don't have a problem with the way that, the racket or the ball connect. It all feels good to me.
Yeah.
And I think
but sorry, Brian, but when you played the demo, are you saying that was the case as well? It was fine in the demo? Because I'm saying I only had issues in the demo.
I didn't love the demo. Okay. The demo felt wrong to me. Right. I was like, I'm not really interested. And so when I got my hands on the final version, and don't forget, they did update the demo, which is surprising, right? Because it's a demo. So like, why would you even bother updating your demo? Just fix it for the full game. But that's your demo out there. This is what you're selling your game with. And I do think that they did that intentionally. They fixed the demo intentionally so that would better represent the final product. And I think the final product is where, everything kind of came together. And so it just feels like that everything they gave us on top of this solid foundation is missing something, right? As much as I think I said last week that I wasn't in love with these environments. that like I'm nostalgic for the Dreamcast, but like this, I'm not. These aren't environments aren't doing anything for me. I kind of really started to enjoy them over the last few days, and really had fun with Sea Smash, and enjoyed the way that it looked and felt and played. Loved the soundtrack. Right, it all just really works together really well. And then like the single player campaign just doesn't feel substantive. The multiplayer feels tacked on somehow, even though there's 4 modes. It feels tacked on, like, because there's no. And I'm the progression system guy, right? Like I'm always the guy that wants to see an XP bar going up. That's me.
Yep.
Right. I want to be unlocking things. I want to be rewarded for playing. Like that's what I want. And C Smash has none of that. Right. And so if you're the kind of person that's like, fuck progression systems, fuck unlocking skins, then like maybe you'll be fine. But it's not even keeping a record of how many wins and losses I have. It's not keeping a record of how many games I've played. Right. So it feels like we're about 6 months away from this game being done, because the game feels great, but it's just missing kind of everything else.
Just off the back of that, so two excellent examples.
Could be back up and running. Apologies for OBS crashing.
Hey, Game Cats. So yeah, Brian, man, those lenses you got, wicked, man. They look awesome. So
are we back to the beginning of the show?
tell me about Until You Fall, man.
Is that how far back we're going?
Did you? Oh wait, we're not. We're not on that.
Yeah. Right, we crashed. We crashed an hour ago, and we didn't even realize. Yeah.
Thanks for bearing with us. Yeah. So I'd barely started my point. So I was just mentioning that Brian gave some really great examples that lead on to back to my point that they've done the hard work. It's just getting over the finishing line. So the first one is Brian was talking about progression systems. I love progression systems as well. This game doesn't need to have like body physics. You could be floating hands and it would totally work. But you know what? The body physics in this game are incredible. Like the way you move, it doesn't feel awkward. And there's a really good bit in the review that Brian did where I'm pointing at the menu in front of him. I didn't realize it was going to look that good, but it's really responsive and it's awesome. So it's like, so you've made the bodies and that look amazing. And it's like, so you could do a progression system. You've made these things now that you could probably add to, do a battle pass if you want and stuff like that. The second thing I was going to mention as an example, you were saying that, scores aren't saved when you end a game. As far as we know, there's no way of looking at high scores and things like that. When you play multiplayer, I played a quick play with someone earlier today. I won, not to brag, but I won pretty good.
Me too.
And when you come out of the match, it says a win has been recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Where has it been recorded? Now, my assumption is it's been recorded in the API and they are going to bring something that will tell it. But it's like, again, you want consequence. If you're doing these games, if you're playing multiplayer, you want to be there needs to be a sense of direction, not that every time you play a game and now you start with a blank slate. And actually, I will make a third point, which was about the single player game. The single player game is amazing in terms of really interesting maps and levels. But I find that the way it works is you complete what are called orbits. So you have like I could be getting the terminology wrong, but you're in a solar system and you basically start at one place and you've got to decide what, like, I'm going to say planets, what points you stop off at all the way round. And some planets are going to be like different difficulties in terms of what the puzzle's going to be. And some have abilities. Now, you can press a button that brings up the information on what the symbols actually mean. It'll say, so these represent these abilities. Right. But they don't actually tell you what the abilities are. And there's a lot of instances in this game where I'm like, I've played the tutorial. Yep. Where does it explain it? And I understand that there's a lot of games where it's all about, it's about working out for yourself. That's a part of the fun with games. It's about, working out and sharing it. This feels a bit too much on the edge of it's not explained well, and so an example would be actually one of the more explained pieces. It's about time boosters. And so if you go to a level and complete it, you get a time booster. And as Brian alluded to in his review, what it means is every time you do a level, you have a timer that will take you from like, here's the time to get an A rank. And then if you don't do it in that time, it will then say, here's the time limit for a B rank, and then C. I think it gets to D. And then once it gets to D, that's it. Time's out and it's game over. And if you're playing the regular mode, you have to go back to the beginning.
Right.
But if you get these time boosters, what you end up doing is building this lifeline of of time, which means that once you get to the D rank, and I might be mistaken, there might be an E rank or something else, but when your time runs out, it then starts eating away at that lifeline. And I was playing a game earlier where I'd clearly racked up a lot of these time boosters, and I was able to get to the end boss because the thing that always made me lose was just running out of time. And so having that extra time was really good. But I didn't really understand that it was just like per chance. And also you get this like smash ability that when you hit the ball, you hit it extra hard. And I think it means that you can destroy more pieces with it. But then there was an ability that I got that I hit the ball and the ball gets stuck to the top of the racket, and then you point it and you click the trigger and it fires it off in that direction. I don't know how I unlocked it. And actually, I wish I knew so I didn't unlock it, because I actually prefer the regular smash ability.
Right.
And so there are just a lot of examples in the game where I feel like I'm not asking them to hold your hand about everything, but there are mechanics that I think if they explained them, it would lead to a more creative gaming experience where people are like, oh, okay, this is how it all works. So now I can be more tactical with what the single player game mode is about, which is plotting your routes. Whereas I've played the single player maybe 5-6 times now, and every time I'm like, I'm plotting the route, but I kind of know what these things are, but I don't really understand what the strategy is. Now that might be something the game developers are saying, yeah, that's something you're going to work out over time. For me, that it doesn't feel like that kind of game.
Yeah. I mean, for something that's so deeply rooted in classic retro games, it's funny because what they've done, taking the power up that you've pointed out as an example, right? You guys might remember in like Arkanoid or Breakout or whatever, that one of the power ups you would get, like sometimes like you elongate the paddle, sometimes you would turn it into like a gun. Right. And so the paddle you're using like slides across the bottom and boom, 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 but you're shooting up while you're hitting the ball up and down to knock out the blocks. And then the power up specifically that you're talking about, Myles, is one that is very classic to Arkanoid, where like the ball comes down, boom, and hits the paddle, but instead of just bouncing back up, it sticks. And so that way you can, slide the paddle back and forth and launch it back up when you're ready, like when you've gotten the shot down.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that they've given us that ability, but not the one where you can shoot blocks, right? It's like, don't give us the exciting ones, right? Don't give us the ones that would make our paddle bigger, right?
Yeah.
It's just like everything else in this game where it's like, okay, if you're going to give us this, well, then go all the way with it. And so far, they haven't gone all the way with anything. Multi-ball, absolutely. And so, like, how cool would it be if you got a power up and suddenly you looked at your paddle and it was like twice as big, and you're like, "Fuck yeah, I can't miss now!" Right? But they didn't give us that one. They gave us the one where it sticks to the paddle, and not only sticks to the paddle, but sticks to the top of the paddle. And the number of times I've held the trigger down, powering up, and thinking I was going to use, as you said, the regular power smash, right? But instead, I missed the ball completely because it's trying to get me to stick it to the top of the racket. I was like, just it seems like certain ideas here weren't terribly well thought out.
And so for me, like the sort of the end point with this is I feel very conflicted with the game. Not whether or not it's a good game. It is a good game, but for me, it's just like the potential of and all these like small things is just there. Now these might all be added, and again, it gets to the question of like, what was the scenario of this development? Because again, when it comes to how the game looks and sounds and feels, they've nailed it.
Yep.
It looks so crisp.
Yeah.
I actually saw in your review the footage because I wanted to ask you about it, Brian, but I didn't want to sort of spoil it. But like, there's a clip in it where the stage that you're in starts breaking away, and you see the guy hanging onto the edge. And great. I don't know if you noticed in the boss fight behind you, there's a guy leaning over.
Oh, no way. No, I didn't even see.
No, behind you, he's like looking over, peering, watching it. Like, stuff like that is amazing. Like, this game has clearly been made with a lot of love.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just a question of like, I just feel like this team needed more time, and they've said they're going to be bringing more stuff in. I'm excited to see it. And to be honest, looking at how much it's improved since the demo, and all the concerns I had got fixed. If that then happens again in another month, then I think it's great, because when I played the demo, I said something that probably sounds very repetitive and cliche of me, which was, yeah, it's fine, but it's no Spark. I just want them to bring Spark back. And to be honest, I still want them to bring Spark back to PSVR2.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a confusing genre, right? Like, some people are going to look at this and go, well, this isn't Spark. And like, my initial review of this game talked a lot about Spark. And then I realized it's pointless. It's pointless because this isn't Spark. That's not what they're going for. This is something completely different. And so,
it is.
You know, I do hope they bring Spark back, but this is not Spark. This is a completely different game. It has a completely different vibe. And I'll tell you, Myles, that my opinion of this game got worse over time, right? So when I started up and you and I jumped in and we played for like an hour together, and I was like, this is so much fun. Like, this is great. Like, I felt like it was a solid 8 at that point. And the more I played, the more I was like, oh, you know what? It's missing this. It's missing that. Where's co-op? Why is this not happening? Like, and it started to feel more. The more I played, the more shallow it became, and that's where I eventually ended up with the 6.4, I believe, was the final score. And so it's there. It's there in terms of a foundation. They just need to keep building on it. And I do feel like they could have a great game here because it's already fun. It already feels good. It already looks good. It already sounds good. Now they just need to like keep the content coming. And if they keep the content coming, like, I think we're going to get right back up to that 8 that I started at.
Right. Yeah. And actually, something else we should mention, which I know you was mentioning your review, and there was some clarity in the chat, was we were talking about how when you go into multiplayer, if you want to do quick play, you click quick play or whatever it says, quick match or whatever and then you've got to choose which mode you want to do. And so it's like, oh, okay, I just want to have a quick play. I don't want to choose, like, if there's someone out there wanting a match, which one are they in? I was literally thinking that earlier.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate. I went with the basic mode, the first mode, and I got linked up. But you were saying, someone in the chat mentioned that when you get to that second screen, that you can actually select which modes you want to play and it will search within them.
Yeah.
That's a great feature, but explain it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't explain it, other people aren't going to be doing that as well, because there should be a mode which is like, there should be like a button which says, I'm happy to play any mode, you know, so people aren't having to every time select 4 things. There's a lot of little things like that. And that mixed up with the fact that every time you play a match, it's not saving score. You know, progression systems don't necessarily just mean XP. It could be just having high scores or like a win count or stuff like that. Or leaderboards. Yeah. Anything like that, because at the moment this game feels like every time you finish a match you're just back to where you started. And now you could say there's a platinum trophy, which I'm definitely a fan of. I know you're a fan of as well, Brian.
Of course.
You and I are pretty similar, I think, on this, which is, I think there's about 32 trophies, 33 trophies, I think. I think you and I think you've got 2 left, I've got 3 left.
Yep.
To get the platinum, and I haven't really had to think about it at all. And as much as it's nice to get platinum trophies, it's nice to have something to grind for, and a few of them we will have to grind for. Yep. But that's the only kind of progression, and the fact that the platinum trophy has almost been achieved by both of us kind of makes it even more necessary that they need some kind of progression or leaderboard in the game.
Right. Because
you just want to have a sense that when you keep coming to it, it's like, cool, I get to play the game again, but we're building on from where I've been before. So yeah.
Yep.
I have to say, finally, that the developers seem, from the conversations I've had with them directly, but also online, is they seem very receptive to feedback.
Yep.
Like, they're very passionate about it. And so I would say to anyone that's playing it, let them know. I think they've even given out, like, said, get to our email address. Like, they want to hear from the community. And I love that. I absolutely love that, because I think this game has the potential to go from a decent game to something that's excellent, and that's what I want it to get to, because I think that'd be a game I'd go to again and again if there is a progression system and things like that.
Yeah, and they even posted over there on Twitter. They posted about what's coming. They posted an image that coming soon, co-op, infinity mode, music player, and more. That was from literally an hour ago. So
yeah, just after your review.
Yeah,
I saw your review and thought, right, let's get this up.
Right. So no, but it's, you know, again, my apologies for. I hate getting information wrong in a review, right? Because I try to be as thorough as possible. I rewrote that C Smash review like 17 times, just like my Hubris review, and so my apologies for getting things wrong. But I can't take full responsibility for not understanding how quick play worked, because quick play does not explain how quick play works. The fact that you can do the exact thing we wanted to do, but there's no indication that you could do it, is crazy. And so, yes, should I have tried? Yeah, but like, it wasn't. No other game has ever worked like this. So my apologies for getting the information wrong. Yeah.
The fact you got that information wrong actually proves the further point, though, Brian. Like, the fact you didn't know that is proving another point, which is, it's not explained.
Yeah, they need a little bit more explanation for a game. This is not a game about discovery or exploration. This is not a game where it's like, oh my god, I just figured out how to do. No, that's it. This is a very basic game, and so they need to be very clear about how things work. This shouldn't be something you have to. None of these things should be things you have to figure out for yourself. And so they do have a little work to do on the tutorial side of things, on the information screen side of things. And so, but it is good to know that one of my complaints wasn't even a complaint. So I'm happy about that. That's for sure. So Virtual Authority Australia with the Australian $5 tip says, enjoyed the C Smash demo, but couldn't get a multiplayer game going in Australia, so reluctant to buy it just for the single player. Might get Masternoid though. Yeah. I did say in my review there's not enough content here to spend $30 on the single player portion. Not alone.
I'm also curious to know how it works for other people that are playing against other people, because when Brian and I played together, whoever was hosting the multiplayer, it was fine for them, but the other person, it was very laggy.
Yep. So
you said you didn't have that issue with AJ, but my point is I think it's to do with like different regions.
Yeah. I played a lot more multiplayer today, trying to replicate the problem. And so if something happens to me once while reviewing a game, and then I can't replicate it, I can't get it to happen again, I don't bother mentioning it.
Yeah.
And so
I'm just curious.
I played a lot of multiplayer today in order to try to replicate that, and I couldn't. So so hopefully it doesn't become a problem. Hopefully it was just a one instance kind of thing.
Yeah. For sure.
Stevie
but
Dan.
Yeah. Sorry, you go.
Stevie Dan 1969 with the 5 quid says, just home, went to see Muse in Glasgow tonight.
Wow.
Very nice.
Muse,
Glasgow.
Muse.
Is it Glasgow?
Glasgow.
Am I pronouncing that right?
We say Glasgow, but you go Glasgow.
Yeah, well, how do you pronounce Worcester?
Worcester, yeah. Worcester. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I was just going to say that despite all the criticisms, it's a good game, and I find often with these, the games that you criticize very quickly are the games. It's a bad game, and it's for this reasons. The fact that we're going into so much detail is because we can see the potential.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see what comes next with it.
Right. This isn't Break Stuff VR, right? Like, and no offense to the Break Stuff VR developers, but even if that game was perfect, if they had fixed every single problem I had with it, it's conceptually it's still not very good, right? Like, how much fun can you possibly have doing that? And but C Smash conceptually is a great concept. And they've gotten so much of the hard work done that I do believe if they stick with it, if they keep updating this game, they're going to have a winner on their hands. And I really, really hope that happens sooner rather than later, because we're sitting here months after Galaxy Kart came out, going, that game has so much potential. Just waiting for those new tracks to come out, waiting for the wheel support, waiting for, maybe more multiplayer support in terms of like number of players. And it's just like, is it going to happen? I don't know. And once it does, is it too late? So I just hope that we see C Smash get updated sooner rather than later for those reasons. So,
I'd love to see it smash it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Matthew Longo in the chat says, so just go buy Arkanoid. Got it. Yes, actually. Dude, I fucking love Arkanoid. Even Arkanoid 2, Revenge of Doe. But I get a hard out at 7:30 tonight, so we got to move this along and play some 20 questions. If you're ready, Myles, are you ready?
I am. And before that, just because a lot of people in the chat have been calling me out for it, if you are watching right now, yes, you right now,
I'm watching.
hit the like button.
I can't.
It helps us out. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I know I've been slacking today. I apologise, and thank you for all the game cats that have been mentioning it in the chat. Those that have done the super chats, and become a member. Become a member. Support the channel. As Brian said at the start, he doesn't do paid sponsorships and things like that. He does stuff because it's what he truly thinks.
Which means I'm broke,
and he needs you
all the time.
He's broke. Help him out. Join, become a member, do super chats. It all helps.
Thank you very much, Myles.
I'll say it because Brian won't.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? I'm ready for 20 questions, Brian.
Awesome.
Bring it, man.
Dude,
you're choosing it.
Well,
yeah?
Everybody in the chat, help out Myles because these games are way harder than you think they are, and help him out. Ask good questions. We've only got 6 minutes and 20 questions to figure out what PSVR1 or PSVR2 game or both I'm thinking of. We're gonna do this. On your mark. Get Des. Go.
Is this game on PSVR2?
Yes. You're halfway there, Myles.
It is.
You just eliminated 500 games.
Yeah, you're right. I know, right? Was it a launch title?
No.
Not a launch title.
Yeah, I wish it was now because that would narrow it down very much.
Yeah, it would be. Is shooting? Do you shoot in this game?
No, you do not.
You do not. You do not shoot in this game. Have we spoken about it on this show?
On this show, I don't believe so. I wanted to, and then I don't think I got around to it.
You wanted to?
Yeah, it was on my mind. Yeah,
it was on your mind. Yeah. Okay.
Some things are just on your mind.
On your mind.
You know.
I mean, you can talk about it now if you want.
Time. I could. Well, yeah. But do you have time? Is the question because you've only got 5 minutes left.
I am running.
I don't want to AJ the fuck out of this by talking about the game that I want to talk about.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. It's a good point. It's a good point. Is this a sports game?
Yeah. We'll go with yes. That's 5.
Okay. And do you play on grass?
Sometimes
on grass.
Are you talking about smoking grass? Do you play on weed, man?
Yeah,
do you play on weed?
Do they? I want to play some of this. Yeah.
Do you play on red wine, man?
Could you argue that it was inspired by a very popular flat screen game?
You could argue pretty much anything, Myles, but no, not.
That's not what I asked, though.
I mean, the answer is no. But you could try.
So it's not knock. It's not knock then.
No. Although I thought of knock first. That was the first game I thought I was going to pick today. That's interesting.
Do you want to go back to that now?
No.
Okay, that's no.
I take it back. You fucking got it. No.
Yeah. Is it? I like this question. Is it a real sport? Like, is it a sport that's played in the real world?
Rather than a virtual or esport kind of thing?
Yes.
Sure,
there's sports games
people play this. Like yes, people play this in real life.
Okay, it's a real life sport.
Yeah.
Okay, let's think of... Right. Has this game come out already?
Yes.
It has already come out.
Yeah, that I'm not going to count that because that's just a rule. We can't pick games that haven't come out.
Oh, can we not? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
A year in, Myles is still learning the rules to the game.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
This is 20, and we have 20 questions. Yeah. Cool. Oh man, is this a game that involves hand egg? Is this a hand egg game?
No.
It's not a hand egg.
And please never say that word again.
Oh, dude, I will be when I'm doing the live streams of it. Those are going to be interesting live streams because I'm literally not going to know what the rules are.
Not going to watch.
And everyone in the chat's going to have to tell me what I'm doing. Right. Does it involve like a big fashioned like bit of wood, like a smooth, like a bat? Does it involve a bat?
No, that's 10.
No bat. There's no bat. All right, guys. Let's think of sports games on PSVR2 that involve. It's not hand egg. It's not a bat. What other? Wait. Could do you tend to like? The aim is to get to like a flag. To get to a flag. Are you trying to get to a flag with a little hole at the bottom of it? Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And when you play this game, do you tend to like, you don't drive everywhere, but you more like you walk about the place, would you say?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. So you walk about. And when you're walking about the place, would you be, like using like a golf ball, maybe? A golf ball or some kind?
In 13 questions, Myles got it. Walkabout mini golf on PSVR2. I can't believe you got it. I can't believe you got it. Came out May 11th, 2023 for PSVR2 with all the DLC and the big hole-in-one bundle. Hell yeah, man. I'm so proud of you. I can't believe you got it that quickly.
I still had 7 questions.
Yeah, and you were going to drive me up the fucking walls. We had to move it along. Good job, Myles. Did anybody in the chat help you there? Did anybody get you there?
I don't know. I'm just pretty fucking annoyed. I had 7 questions left. And you just bought it.
But you won.
I could have got it. I could have got it wrong. I could have got it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could have still got it wrong.
Well done. Steve Irie says that was a hard one. I thought it was pretty easy, but yeah.
My guess was Resident Evil Village, but fair enough. Okay.
I mean, I guess the goal in Resident Evil Village is also to get to a hole with a little flag on it. So I guess that's fair.
It is.
That's fair.
Well, I watched your playthrough, and I think that's how it ends.
Yeah,
sorry, spoilers, guys.
Village is absolutely a sport that's played in real life. I agree.
So,
yeah, I thought you were going to be like, I thought that question was going to go differently. I thought you were going to be like, is it like played in the Olympics? And I would have fucking loved that. I would have been like, I'm pretty sure they don't play mini golf in the Olympics. So
you reversed AJ, this bitch. Gamekeeper says.
Hey man, listen, sometimes Myles just has to be pushed in the right direction, okay? I love you, Myles, but sometimes we just have to move on, including today, because I've only got 5 minutes before I have to get out of here. So thank you everybody for hanging out. Make sure you subscribe to Myles on youtube.com/Myles. Click the link in the description down below. He's doing 6 more PSVR2 live streams this weekend, so make sure you tune in and tune into all of those.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you being here, man. Really,
and also, next Wednesday,
always, what?
Next Wednesday is my 100th episode of Myles Die Alive, so it's going to be a special one.
Wow. It's pretty good. You must have done 50 episodes of this already, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because
I think it was April was the year.
So, yeah.
April was the year, yeah. So we must have done 50 something, yeah.
All right, well, happy anniversary.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, you guys. Thank you so much to everybody who helps this channel run. Obviously, J Meow and Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry, all the moderators who make my life so much infinitely better each and every single day. We love you so much. Everybody who supports the channel financially over here as a member and over on patreon.com/withoutparole we love and appreciate all of you. Everyone who tips during the show, everyone who hangs out, plays 20 questions, chats during the show, and of course everyone who sits back and watches the show and doesn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there. We love you just as much. Let's go.
Happy Friday. Have a great weekend.
Rogue TR in the chat says, didn't even get him flowers. Man,
Brian, what's clip of the week?
Man, somebody bought me flowers once, and I broke up with them like that same day.
Wow.
Yeah.
After you took the
I'm
flowers.
an awful person. Awful. I mean, who gets me flowers? Like, I'm a miserable human being. Like, here, maybe flowers will brighten your day. Go fuck yourself. I don't want to date you anymore.
Whoa. So what's clip of the week, Brian? What's clip of the week?
Well,
we got 3 minutes.
We didn't do clip of the week last week. And so,
we got 3 clips of the week.
And so we promised everybody last week that we would have 2 clips of the week this week. So let's check it out. Starting with a great hole-in-one by our awesome friend and moderator Geisen on Walkabout Mini Golf. I can't tell you guys, I love hole-in-one clips so much.
Yeah.
So let's check this one out. And this is a hard one. Let's see if it is going to... I do simple things in OBS because I can't handle it and just like shits the bed completely. All right, let's do this. This is from Geisen, clip of the week, first clip of the week from Walkabout Mini Golf. Remember, submit your clips of the week, especially your Walkabout hole-in-ones, over on our clip of the week channel in Discord. Join the Discord, click the link in the description below. Here it is. Check it out.
Whoa.
Dude. That is that's the final hole on El Dorado. On El Dorado hard.
That one.
Well, dude, El Dorado is one of my favorite courses on Walkabout, and
it's raining and thunder. I love that.
Absolutely, the ambiance feels great.
I go to sleep with that sound, so I can't wait to play that in Walkabout.
Well, yeah, you're gonna fall asleep halfway through the course. What happened to Myles?
When's Myles taking his shot?
Right.
Yeah.
And so and that dude, that's a very difficult shot. If you're like, oh, he just happened to get you got to bounce off the right rock, get at the right power to bounce over like this barrier. Usually takes 5 shots to get that right. So you get a hole in one.
But disgustingly not on PSVR2. Out.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel sick.
Listen, I wasn't going to bring it up, but guys, come on, dude, come on, get your shit together. PSVR2.
Just cut that shit out, mate. Cut the obvious menu out, mate.
For real. Okay, and then this other one is this other one is
Kayak VR. I need to go back to this.
Let's do it. Oh shit.
Let me know when you're playing it.
I'm screwing it up right now.
That's right, because I've got it to press play now.
There we go. There it is.
Look at you with your little arms. I love it. It's such a cute game.
So ridiculous. So that was me. I completely forgot that it actually saves Ghost of You. And so when I was trying to get the hang of Kayak VR on like the first week after PSVR2 launched, I didn't like, I couldn't get it down. I couldn't do the normal paddle stroke properly. Like I was just not getting it. And so I was just doing the whole like spinning my controllers as fast as I could close together.
That's it.
And it worked. But I'll tell you, that is fucking exhausting. And so
dude,
I had completely forgotten about it until Izzard was racing my Ghost, and I was like, oh, that's so embarrassing.
Dude.
Yeah.
There's a level where you go around the entire island. It's like 8 minutes, and I literally, I've actually got a video of me doing it in real life and then in game, and I'm going to do the kind of like Kayak VR in virtual reality, and then in reality, and in reality, it's me just panting. But quick thing, because I know you've got to go.
Yeah.
My parents recently took a trip to Antarctica, and they actually did some canoeing. And when they were showing me the video footage, as they were, canoeing through, because it was like 2 per boat, so it wasn't a kayak, there was actually mounds of ice in the water, and one of their friends hit one and it stopped them. And as soon as that happened, it was like, I've done that in Kayak VR. It's like, it was just an amazing to see something like, no, that is actually a real problem. And I was like, no, actually, you want to get enough speed so you can get some air.
That's funny.
But they weren't willing to do that.
Nice. All right, we got to go. So have a great weekend, everybody. We love you all. Hopefully we'll see you on Discord. Click the link in the description below. Come join us over there. It's where we hang out 24/7. We love you. Good night. Meow.
Have a good weekend. Peace.